Success Factor 1. Organizational support is critical. A continuous testing transformation does not happen in a vacuum. It's often one element of an organization-wide effort to modernize business strategy and process, which requires commitment from both executives and peers across the organization. While early transformation is often defined by grassroots efforts, our research shows that executive support from the CIO or one of their direct reports is critical to successful testing transformation. Because they typically have experience on both the business and technical side, CIOs can develop a clear and coherent transformation strategy. These leaders also understand at a conceptual level how technologies like test automation can impact the business, which means they can communicate the benefits to and gain buy-in from leaders outside the IT department. According to a 2018 Gartner survey, the role of a CIO at top-performing digital organizations has substantially widened beyond IT to include innovation and transformation as primary responsibilities. Success Factor 1. Organizational support is critical. Our respondents said their executives support continuous testing transformation by 1. Communicating a shared vision for continuous testing. 2. Facilitating collaboration across teams. 3. Removing roadblocks for progress. 4. Providing resources to drive the transformation. 5. Aligning organizational goals and KPIs. 100% of the organizations we surveyed cited executive support as a critical success factor. While executives can set the strategic direction and encourage participation in new initiatives, many times the day-to-day decisions that influence success will be made by your peers. The testing leaders we interviewed undertook significant initiatives to evangelize testing transformation efforts and increase adoption rates for new processes and tools across their organizations. Their strategies included running lunch and learn sessions, demos, and pilots. Several developed internal case studies to demonstrate early successes and encourage adoption of new processes. Test automation is sometimes viewed as a silver bullet, especially by business leaders and others outside of the technology organization. A common misconception is that test automation will drastically and immediately reduce the need for manual testing. But a significant change in strategy and tools require an investment in organizational alignment, change management, and training. Additional metrics that effectively convey progress to executives include increases in the team's productivity, decreases in testing time, cost savings, and the ability to support larger organizational initiatives. Success Factor 2. Develop a defined continuous testing strategy and transformation plan. To support transformation, your testing strategy must be purpose-built for success in Agile and DevOps environments. There is a fundamental difference between a manual-heavy test strategy and a highly automated continuous testing strategy. Transitioning to test automation is a major strategic shift that requires not only new tools, but also an evolution in mindset and process. True transformation requires a well-planned strategy that includes how you'll prioritize projects for automation and manage the change, how it will affect testers and team members in adjacent roles, and how you'll measure success against defined goals. A sound test strategy includes plans for rolling out new processes and tools across your organization, which requires both change management skills and technical skills. Our research shows that the majority of successful organizations took the time to define and communicate goals with executives and peers across the organization. The most important element of a successful strategy, survey respondents said, was demonstrating how test strategies were aligned with larger initiatives, such as DevOps transformation or a new line of business. In fact, 80% of successful organizations align their continuous testing strategy to a larger business initiative. Many of the testing leaders we spoke to suggested documenting early success to generate credibility for the new strategy. Presenting these successes helped their teams make the case for scaling test automation from 1 or 2 projects to more critical initiatives across the organization. Establish a dedicated test automation working group or committee. Most successful organizations, 83%, created some form of dedicated test automation group or community of practice to lead continuous testing transformation. Organization structures varied, with some training testers across agile teams and others creating a central committee that provided test automation expertise across agile teams. Members of these groups are often sourced from within the organization. Many of our survey respondents said they invested in training testers who were already on board and were eager to specialize in test automation. There is a learning curve when transitioning to an automated test strategy, but an iterative approach to training has proved successful. A dedicated test automation working group typically incorporates the following elements: a senior or executive manager as sponsor, a test automation architect as the technical champion, provision of architectural guidance and review, evangelism to socialize successes and encourage adoption, support for engineering and customization, sometimes outsourced to a service vendor, and test automation delivery capabilities. Success Factor 4. Invest in continuous training and learning. Undergoing a successful continuous testing transformation often requires upskilling the quality engineering team. It's helpful to invest in initial training for foundational skills, then pivot to providing continuing education as the team matures and begins to specialize. Many organizations also adopt immersive and practical learning that is specifically tailored to their needs. This can be covered in an initial training and enablement engagement, as well as by ongoing training and coaching sessions. Success Factor 5. Define and enforce best practices. Organizations that are most successful at scaling test automation have a proven ability to define and enforce best practices. To ensure the team has access to these critical guidelines, they are often documented in a central repository or wiki. While best practices evolve over time and according to the organization's requirements, they tend to cover similar themes, such as what to automate, how to automate, and specific application or organizational requirements. A defined test automation development and review process is critical for enforcing adherence to best practices. When designed correctly, it is also one of the best opportunities for more experienced team members to teach and mentor new specialists. Many organizations define quality requirements for each individual specialist to achieve before submitting to the review stage. For example, a new test case must have executed 3 times successfully in an execution list or run for 1 week successfully in distributed execution. Success Factor 6. Partner with key vendors. When embarking on a continuous testing journey, many teams cite working closely with external partners as key to success. These include existing services vendors, software providers, and potentially new service partners with specialist skill sets. Many reported that establishing partnership was beneficial to their initial success. An organization's partners can assist in driving transformation by providing an external lens with which to view the organization's challenges, sharing insights, use cases, and best practices from similar transformations, providing strategy development assistance, training and support, supporting critical projects with additional resources and expertise, delivering messages and endorsements from an external, reputable source. External endorsement for a new strategy can be useful for getting the transformation project off the ground. Success Factor 7. Effective methods for measuring success. Defining what success looks like and how to measure it can be challenging. It requires upfront and ongoing alignment, as criteria will often evolve as the practice matures. But it is all well worth the effort. Define and agreed upon goals set the stage for effectively communicating progress, which helps to ensure ongoing support from stakeholders across the organization. Well-defined success metrics are especially valuable for day-to-day participants in a transformation effort, serving as a North Star that keeps stakeholders aligned amid significant and sometimes disruptive organizational changes. These metrics should cover a number of different categories, including changes in efficiency, quality, cost and risk over time, as well as overall transformation success. Common key metrics include risk coverage, test automation pass-fail rates, test automation stability, execution time reductions, productivity increases, cost save versus manual testing, defect escape percentage, percentage of defects captured at each stage. It is very important to clearly define what each metric means to your organization, both within and outside of your team. For example, how are you defining risk? While most organizations cite business risk as the most critical, it's essential to understand the specifics and translate them into technical terms. Team members will optimize their behaviors based on the metrics testing leaders set, particularly if incentives are attached. So it's critical they are clearly defined upfront and aligned with organizational objectives.